Well, go on, everybody. Lennox here from Simple 123 Trader. This is the weekly playbook for November 15th to 20th. Hope everybody's doing well. Let's take a look at what's setting up for all the major futures uh, in the Forex and stocks and gold and so forth. Okay, so I'm going to go through them and see what's setting up for this week. Starting first with the Australian dollar on the weekly time frame. You can see from last week that it was a more of a um, indecision type of week. So we have an indecision candle, and now we're started with a green candle this week, but of course, lots to play out. But it looks like we should be continuing the trend to the upside. I've got a super trend indicator, which basically goes green when price is going to the upside, turns red when price is going to the downside. So from the indicator, I can see that we should have another leg to the upside forthcoming. Okay, so dropping down to the daily time frame. Okay, so we're right at a resistance area. That's why we're getting this kind of choppiness. But again, it's looking like we're going to be pushing to the upside. We had a gap open on the daily, so expectation is for Australian dollar to be heading to the upside, challenging these these highs from previous uh, months ago. Okay, so that is Australian dollar, looking for strength in the Australian dollar to the upside. Okay, let's go to the just Bitcoins next. I'm just going to go in order of what they are. So we'll take a look at Bitcoin. Maybe, here we go. Okay, on the weekly time frame. Okay, Bitcoin very strong. I'm going to go to the monthly because I can't see to the left. Just want to see what's over there. Okay, so that's the entire chart. So you can see where we started way up here, and we've dramatically moved to the upside in the last few weeks and months. So the last 3 months have been very strong for Bitcoin, and going into this week, still looking pretty strong, and daily we're still going strong. So I'm not seeing any pullbacks here. It's just going to be a strong week going forward for Bitcoin. Okay, so strength in Bitcoin going into this week. Looking at crude oil next. Go to the weekly. Okay, crude oil is also looking quite strong, and so again with the trend indicator, we should be pushing up after so you can see that we're in a sideways type of pattern on the daily. Yes, we've been in a very much sideways choppy pattern, but now looking to break out to the upside imminently. But again, this could take a while to fight out of this mess in here. We could even drop down a little bit before we do go, but overall trajectory is to the upside. Okay, let's take a look at the Canadian dollar. Okay, Canadian dollar on the weekly. We're sitting at a resistance area and looking strong. Okay, on the weekly, on the daily, again, we're right at a resistance area. We had this pullback on the weekly. However, this pullback looks like it's going to be short-lived, and we should be pushing to the upside this week. So heading into this week, some strength in the Canadian dollar. It looks like, at least in the short term, anyways. Okay, so we're again right at a resistance area. So that's the reason for any kind of hesitation in here. But right now, looking pretty strong. Okay, let's take a look at the US dollar index on the weekly. Okay, so this is a totally opposite. We're heading to the downside on the US dollar index. So on the weekly, you can see that we're pointing to the downside, red bar starting on the daily. Okay, we were mostly sideways in here, and but now we're starting to push down with weakness. So looking for more weakness in the US dollar in the upcoming week here. Okay, so that's what that's looking like. Let's take a look at the euro. The euro on the weekly time frame. Uh, we are sitting right up at a very congested area, and what that looks like is a fourth wave, and we're just chopping around in it, looking to break to the upside. But of course, being in a fourth wave, this can chop around for a while. So uh, can't say yes, it's going to break or not. Let's drop to the daily, take a closer look. You can clearly see that we are indeed in a choppy side-based type of pattern, but it's trying and looking to push to the upside. So we might have some strength in euro. Of course, we need to break these highs in order for that to occur. So right now, strength in the euro, at least in the short term, going into the start of the week. Okay, let's take a look at the Swiss franc. Try again. It's taking its time here, sorry. Swiss franc. Okay, on the weekly time frame. Sorry about that. Okay, we are, again, I can't see to the left here, so I need to see what's over there. So Swiss franc, there's nothing over there. So we're just in free reign territory here. We've broken through the previous high on the monthly, and we're heading to the upside. So right now, we're in a little congestion area. Um, and on the weekly, you can see that a little bit of a congestion is trying to push out of there again, but we had this big red bar last week. So let's take a look closer on the daily and see what's going on. And at that point here, you can see again, we're in this very choppy affair. And right now it's pushing to the upside on the daily, but we could have some further down before it goes again. It could come back down before it goes. So be aware that you're in a very congested area, and anything can happen in here. So that's the takeaway for the Swiss franc. It's trying to push to the upside, but we're in a very congested, choppy area, and it could go either way at any time, basically. Okay, let's take a look at gold on the weekly. Okay, on the monthly, real quick. Okay, so on the monthly, there's nothing over there that we can see. So we've broken the previous high up here, and now we came back, and now it's looking either it's going to fall or it's going to go to the upside. So which one of them is it going to be? Let's go a little closer on the weekly, and right now you can see that we are in a pretty choppy affair, and look right now looking a bit weak. So let's drop down to the daily and take a closer look. And on the daily, again, we're inside this triangle area, and it's been very up and down choppy. And right now it's pointing to the downside, at least in the short term. Okay, so we opened up with a look to go south. Okay, so be aware of that and be careful with gold. Okay, again, in a congested area as well. Okay, let's take a look at the Japanese yen on the weekly. Okay, very strong. It's just been going up and down, up and down, up and down, but we're in a trajectory to the upside still. And this is the bounding trend line that it's been testing all the way up. So let's go a little closer and see if we're going to be coming back down to that trend line. And right now it's pushing away from the trend line to the upside. So there's strength in the Japanese yen going into this week. Okay, right now, that's what it looks like. Okay, let's take a look at New Zealand dollar. And you can see that we're right up against the resistance area, very strong right across. And we're looking to push through, but of course, because we're at a resistance, we could have some choppiness before it goes through. But right now, it's looking pretty strong. So on the daily, again, we're pushing to the upside, and this looks pretty strong. But we're at resistance, so we could have some choppiness in here before this takes off again. So be aware of that for New Zealand. Okay, let's take a look at the Mexican peso on the weekly. Okay, very Very nasty looking chart here, but we've been again going straight up, very strong support resistance area right here. So we're right there on at that cusp of that, and dropping to the daily. Uh, it's looking pretty overall pretty strong. We've pushed to the upside. We're at a fairly strong resistance support area. So looking to push to the upside. However, Mexican peso looks pretty strong against the US dollar going into this week. Okay, let's take a look at the British pound on the weekly. Okay, again, we're at a resistance area. So it's looking to push to the upside here as well. And let's go to the daily and see if we can get through that or not. And looking pretty strong. Looks like we should push to the upside, testing back this area here. And right now it's in a fairly choppy area, but you can see that it is indeed trying to push to the upside. And that's what we'd be expecting, a move to the upside for the British pound heading into this week. Okay, let's take a look at the Russell 2000 on the weekly. So Russell 2000 has broken the previous high and is looking very strong going into this week. Down to the daily. Okay, still pushing to the upside, very strong. So I wouldn't be fighting this move at all. It's strength to the upside for the Russell. The US, the Dow 30, let's take a look at the Dow. Also, Dow is just now challenging the highs and looking very strong as it broke through. So it could, of course, be a fake out, but right now looking pretty strong, breaking through that resistance. So lots of strength in the Dow going into this week as well. Take a look at the US 500, S&P on the weekly. Okay, you can see on the weekly broke that level, breaking through the next high. That was a high, previous high of all time there basically. And now a little pullback, and we're pushing back through, breaking that high again. So again, could be a fake out, but right now lots of strength going into this week in the US 500. Okay. Now, the last but not least is the U.S. Tech, which is the Nasdaq futures, and on the weekly, yeah, again, very strong. We draw a trend line. We're just heading to the upside very strongly here. We're at a resistance, so that's the key takeaway. Okay, this one has not broken the highs as yet, but on the daily, okay, you can see we're starting to turn, and this could be a good strong push. But again, we're at resistance, so we could have some struggle here, but I would expect this to break through to the upside. Okay, so that's a look at all the futures. Be aware for any of our members that are playing any of the major pairs. Keep your eye on the US dollar. Whatever the US dollar does will help you with trading the major US pairs. All right, so profitable trading to everyone. Be safe. We're done now. Thank you.